Hi, boys and girls. As we read our books this week, we are going to be paying special attention to the characters. We know that characters are the people or the animals in the story, and characters can have character traits. And a trait is a characteristic or a quality that makes us different from others, makes us unique. So when we're thinking about character traits, we think about what the character looks like on the outside and their personality on the inside. So when we think about the outside, we think about what we can see. Maybe we can describe their hair color or eye color, their height, clothing, their size, and their facial features. When we think about a character on the inside, we can be thinking about their personality. What are they thinking? What are they saying with their words? How are they feeling? And what are they doing with their actions? So friends, as we are reading our book today, we are going to be paying special attention to the main character in our story. And I'm sure you have all heard of Curious George. So we are going to read a book called Curious George Visits a Toy Store. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today was the opening of a brand new toy store. George and the man with the yellow hat did not want to be late. When they arrived, the line to go inside wound all the way around the corner. When a line is this long, it's not easy for a little monkey to be patient. George sneaked through the crowd. All he wanted was a peek inside. So as we're reading, you can be thinking about, what is George doing? What is he thinking? And what is he feeling? George got to the door just as the owner opened it. "This is no place for a monkey," she said. But George was so excited, he was already inside. Balls, dolls, bicycles, and games filled the shelves. There were so many toys. George didn't even know how some of them worked. And how about these hoops? What did they do? George was curious. He climbed up to pull one out of the pile. It would not move. George pulled harder. Still it wouldn't move. George pulled with all fours. Think about what George is doing. He's not giving up. Suddenly, there was a terrible crash. Red, blue, green, and yellow hoops bounced up and down and everywhere. "Look!" exclaimed a boy, bouncing up and down himself. "Why, I haven't seen one of these in years," said the boy's grandmother. She put a hoop around her waist and gave it a spin. George tried the hula hoop too. Then George pretended to be a wheel. He rolled and rolled and... Oops! He rolled right into the owner. The owner shook her head. "I knew you were trouble," she said. "Now you've made a mess of my new store." Again, she tried to stop George. And again, George was too quick. In only a second, he was around the corner and on the highest shelf. Below him, George saw a little girl point to a toy out of reach. "Mommy, can we get that dinosaur?" she asked. George picked up the dinosaur and lowered it to the girl. She was delighted. So was the small boy next to her. "Could you get that ball for me, please?" he asked George. George reached up, grabbed the ball, and bounced it to the boy. Be thinking about what George is doing. I have that puppet way up there?" asked another girl. And how lucky that George was a monkey. He swung off the shelf, hung onto a light, picked up the puppet, and put it right into her hands. Wow, George is really doing a lot for others. "What a show!" shouted a boy. The children held up their new toys and cheered. What a commotion! Commotion means noisy, excitement, and confusion. Show me commotion. Immediately, the owner came running, and then came the man with the yellow hat. "I think we've had enough monkey business for one day," the owner frowned. Just then a girl got in the long line to pay. "What a great store," she said. "What a great idea to have a little monkey helping you," her father told the owner. "I guess you're right," the owner replied and smiled. Then she gave George a special surprise. "Thank you, George," she said. "My grand opening is a success because of you. Perhaps monkey business is the best business after all." The end. So, boys and girls, what I want to show you now is a character traits web that you can draw on a piece of paper, or you can have mom or dad get from our weekly schedule. And what you would do is you would write the main character in our story in the middle. And so you would write Curious George. And then you would go ahead and think about George's traits on the outside and on the inside. And you can write those traits in the small circles around the character's name. To help you get thinking about some describing words, Mrs. Filarecki also has a character traits chart right here that you can look at, and it's also linked to our weekly schedule to get you thinking about some words that you could use to describe George. Again, be thinking about what George was doing, his actions, what he was thinking, and how he was feeling. And that could describe his personality on the inside. You could also describe George on the outside. What does he look like? Think about his size, maybe. And then you could take a picture of it and send it through Dojo Portfolio to your teacher. It was fun reading with you today, friends. Bye.